Men's basketball star may be taking his talents out of Athens. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Nick Veland.
And I'm Will Price, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Athens and Hocking County deputies are investigating a body discovered in the Hocking River. Kayakers found the body of a deceased male yesterday afternoon. Athens County Sheriff Rodney Smith stated deputies arrived at the scene off State Route 278 at the bottom of Lick Run Hill, just outside of Nelsonville. The body was discovered on a sandbar in the river. Deputies were unable to positively identify the deceased due to exposure to the natural elements. The Athens County Coroner's Office ordered an autopsy which will be conducted at the Montgomery County Coroner's Office, and the investigation remains ongoing. A high-speed chase in Bluffton, Ohio ended in tragedy this morning. The town, located 2 hours north of Columbus, is mourning the loss of a police officer. According to Ohio State Highway Patrol, 42-year-old Dominic Francis was hit by a car while trying to lay down stop sticks on I-75. Officer Francis was with law enforcement for 19 years, 9 with Bluffton Police. The police chief says Francis was also a softball and football coach. Governor Mike DeWine ordered flags to be lowered to half staff today, and Police Chief Ryan Burkholder spoke about the loss.
Today is a sad day. This community lost a hero. He is an outstanding police officer. His heart was big. Not only was he a police officer, he was a school teacher. He was a bus driver. He was a coach to the youth in this community. He had a heart of gold. He will be sorely missed.
This is the first time a Bluffton police officer has died since the 1920s, and 3 suspects are now in custody.
A federal court rules Ohio's May 3rd primary election should, for now, stay as scheduled. But that 3-judge panel on the Ohio Southern District U.S. District Court says it's still reserving the right to intervene if public officials in the state don't settle on legislative and congressional maps following redistricting chaos, including 3 previously rejected maps. The hearing yesterday went on for hours, with judges suggesting alternatives to the primary date. But for now, Election Day will stay on May 3rd. The jury in Columbus Dr. William Husel's trial will have to be decided whether it was comfort care or murder when Husel overprescribed pain medication to a number of his patients who were near death. The jury is set to hear closing arguments in the case on Monday. That's after the defense rested its case Thursday and the prosecution earlier this week.
I hope you had a wonderful evening. Ms. Menashe, call your next witness. Okay. Mr. Baez.
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Okay. Is that subject, I assume, subject to omissions?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Zire, are you putting on any rebuttal?
We are not, Your Honor.
So you're resting on rebuttal?
We are, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've heard all the testimony you're going to hear. You still have the exhibits, and you also have the law that you will be addressing. Can you all hear me? Okay. I sometimes wonder with this plexiglass if people are hearing me, okay? We will come back Monday at 9 o'clock for closings.
Husel faces 14 counts of murder. Now over to Cam with the weather.
Good evening, everybody, and I hope your afternoon is going splendid so far. Right now in Athens, despite it being a far cry from the nice temperatures we've had yesterday, it is 55 degrees and overcast. Wind is coming from the west at a very high 17.3 miles per hour. And we have gusts even all the way up to 25.3 miles per hour. There's some winds in the upper atmosphere that's leading to incredibly strong wind gusts that will persist through the coming extra few days. Our barometer right now is finally steady, but it is low. Our dew point is at 44.4 and humidity at 68 degrees, finally ticking up after being very low over the past couple of days. The high today was 69 degrees and the low tonight will be 36 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. And across the region right now, we have mid-50s in Athens. It's going to get colder towards Lancaster and warmer once we get into West Virginia. That's all I have for our first look at the weather. Back to you, Nick.
Kentucky lawmakers approve a new law banning most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. And Biden announces plans to confront rising gas prices across the country. These stories and much more when Newswatch returns.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
On expedition.
I'm in Mexico with a crack team of cave divers on an expedition where no one has been before. Check that out. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Zero visibility, and it's really tight. No way. It's like a river flowing underneath the water. My brain is popping. It's so much more than we expected. This is what adventure is all about.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of securities is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
In Zambia's Luangwa Valley, a future king was born. From one year to the next, he embarked on a journey towards greatness. Whenever he was challenged, he'd respond audacious and bold. He was on the cusp of supremacy, a formidable contender to the throne.
Police in West Virginia are searching for a mother and daughter they believe are responsible for the shooting death of a 13-year-old girl. She was inside a car at an intersection when it happened, and police believe it may have been targeted. Robert Castillo has the story.
This was an innocent 13-year-old child. This was not drug-related. This kid had no problems.
Warrants for first-degree murder were issued for 43-year-old Nicole Brooks and 22-year-old Isis Wallace after the shooting late Wednesday night. Police tied the mother-daughter duo to another shooting at a home on nearby Memorial Avenue shortly beforehand. That was allegedly over a domestic dispute. Authorities say Brooks and Wallace were then waiting for the car with the teen inside when it approached the intersection. As of Friday afternoon, the search for Brooks and Wallace continued. Police believed they were still in the area.
We've already contacted the U.S. Marshal Service. They are involved. They've been entered into the National Crime Information Center, which puts them on the radar of every law enforcement agency in this nation.
Lieutenant Detective Kenneth Adams with Bluefield Police says there have been other instances of gun violence recently, something he attributes to the weather warming up.
And they're starting to interact with people that they weren't normally interacting with, and not necessarily in a good way. And it's normal for this time of the year, but it seems like here lately it has been just an uptick in people actually trying to use a gun to solve their situation.
Bluefield Police are adding more officers to patrol certain areas of town, and they are also offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to the suspect's arrest. Legislators in Kentucky have approved a new law banning most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. It also restricts access to abortion medication and makes it more difficult for a minor to get one. The House passed the bill Tuesday with a 74-19 vote, and the Senate also passed it on Tuesday unanimously, 29-0. The legislation now heads to the Governor Andy Beshear's desk, and he is not committed to supporting the bill. However, if he does veto it, the legislator would likely override him.
For people planning to take a trip this spring or summer, Amy Keeley has more COVID news and updates.
COVID-19 no longer controls our lives.
That means the relaxation of more restrictions and guidance, including some related to travel. The CDC now says cruises don't pose an increased travel risk, but it suggests checking out individual ship health guidelines and getting fully vaccinated against COVID-19 first. The FDA just expanded the emergency use authorization for a second round of Pfizer and Moderna boosters for people 50 and older. The president now has his, but the CDC clarifies people don't need that extra shot to be considered up to date on their COVID-19 vaccinations.
If you're over the age of 50 or you're younger than that and have important comorbid conditions, you should get boosted.
In other travel news, 21 states are suing the Biden administration to end the transportation mask mandate before it expires April 18th. That's in addition to other lawsuits from groups of pilots and flight attendants. And travelers now can get pandemic information about the places they plan to visit in the U.S. or where they live on covid.gov. Amid these changes, experts say to be ready for the Omicron subvariant to increase cases.
In the last week, case rates in the United States have become flat. And if you and I speak next week at this time, we'll be talking about how they're now starting to rise.
Congress has to provide the funding America needs to continue to fight COVID-19. And if we fail to invest, we leave ourselves vulnerable if another wave of the virus hits.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Officials also say the CDC plans to lift Title 42 by May 23rd, which will allow more migrants to enter the U.S. through its southern border. A historic announcement from President Joe Biden today as he looks to help Americans struggling with soaring gas prices. The U.S. will release a record amount of crude oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, a stockpile of 600 million barrels stored in underground salt caverns in Louisiana and Texas. Chris Wynn explains what the president hopes to accomplish and what it means for your wallet.
President Joe Biden making unprecedented moves to relieve pain at the pump.
Your family budgets to fill a tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war.
Releasing a record 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves in an effort to reduce gas prices and put pressure on oil companies to increase supply.
This is the time, not the time to sit on record profits. It's time to step up for the good of your country, the good of the world, to invest in immediate production that we need to respond to Vladimir Putin.
Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the U.S. price of regular gasoline spiked, hitting a record high average of $4.33 a gallon earlier this month.
I'll put 150 and I won't fill up.
Have everything just go sky high is ridiculous. We can't afford it.
Biden previously announced a coordinated release of oil in conjunction with other nations. While tapping deeper into the reserve is expected to have a limited effect on prices, the president is hoping to send a political message amid a difficult midterm election year.
It's time to deliver true long-term energy independence in America once and for all. And I'm going to continue to use every tool at my disposal to protect you from Putin's price hike.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
The president also announced plans to use the Defense Production Act to try and kickstart the mining of critical minerals needed to manufacture batteries for electric vehicles and long-term energy storage. The White House says the goal is to move the country toward renewable energy and electric vehicles and away from dependence of foreign oil. Kings Island plans to break one of its world records in May with an expansion of a famous roller coaster. That story's still ahead.
And the nice weather we've had is finally ended, but what will the weather look like this weekend? Find out that and more on my full forecast after the break, but for now, let's have a look at some stocks of local interest.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Time. It's an interesting thing. We always wonder what time it is, and other times we wonder, where does it go? That's because time flies and waits for no one. So, is it time to donate that car that keeps costing you money? If you've been waiting to give to public television, consider donating a car, truck, or RV. And we'll arrange for a free pickup. You may even qualify for a tax deduction. There's no time like now. Donate today.
Music photography is like the music itself. It's part of our cultural heritage.
What I do is a form of music. It's just music for the eyes.
Best job in the world.
I'm a rock fan. I want to see that picture and I want to feel it.
Cover of Rolling Stone meant you were something. It's about music, artistry, and energy.
It's more than just a photograph, it's a work of art.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Benjamin Franklin starts Monday, April 4th on PBS and the PBS app.
Hi everybody, I'm Cam Kuzno, and I hope your evening is splendid so far. Right now on our live radar, you can see a pretty big storm system towards the West Virginia and Pennsylvania area. We will go more in depth on why that's happening here in a moment. Our big satellite image right now, you can see these swath of clouds that's rotating and pushing its way forward into our area. This is an archive, so these have already passed us and are now making its way into Pennsylvania and West Virginia, where it is causing severe weather. This is a very strong low-pressure system that's centered around Michigan, and this cold front that to the south of it is extended, and it is pushing cold air, which has also brought the end to the nice 70s weather. And on our temperature gradient, you can just see this weather drop in Athens. It was in the mid-70s earlier, and this cold air pushes in and has brought us into the 60s and now into the 50s. Tonight, though, it'll be 36 degrees, so it will drop pretty significantly through the night. Chance of showers, 40% chance of showers tonight. Sunrise will be at 7:10 a.m. and dark skies, if you manage to get a peek through the clouds. We'll have a new moon tonight. Tomorrow, our surface analysis will have some rain pushing through the area, and we won't see a lot in the way of accumulation, and some high pressure building up into the south. Tomorrow's high will be 49 degrees, which is very, very far from the nice weather we've had. That precipitation has a chance of falling as snow or as a mixture, but I'm pretty confident that will fall as rain, and the low tomorrow night will be 28 degrees. Looking even further ahead, we will finally have a high pressure system, which won't really do much in the way of clear skies, as we'll see in the moment, but it will continue to build, and we won't have very much more rain. Our weekend outlook shows a chance of rain and snow tomorrow, and we'll get some peaks of sunshine starting on Saturday, where the high will be 58 degrees, and then clouds will return despite the high pressure system into Sunday. And for the whole week ahead, we have that chance of rain, and it really does get much, much worse in the way of clouds. Our temperatures will begin to build up into what we would expect for the spring, with 61 degrees starting Monday, all the way into the 70s on Wednesday, as the chance of showers will enter on Monday and persist through the week, even past Thursday. This weekend, a little bit of peaks of sunshine Saturday with 58 degrees and a low of 39. Those lows will continue to climb their way up through the week, and Thursday, where we should see a temperature around in the mid to low 50s. That's all I have for our full forecast. Back to you, Will.
Shame to see the weather for the next week, but thank you for the great work, Cam. After 42 years as the top dog, a record-breaking roller coaster is set to re-break its own world record. Jeremy Roth has more.
The world's longest roller coaster just got even longer. Since 1979, the Beast at Cincinnati, Ohio's Kings Island Amusement Park has held the Guinness World Record for the world's longest roller coaster. I've been on this thing, let me tell you. It's no joke. The ride lasts over 4 minutes. It's really long. 7,359 feet long, to be exact. At least that was until the park did some off-season retracking work, which the park's peeps say resulted in an extra 2 feet of total track length. which means after holding onto its laurels for a lengthy 42 years straight, at a newly revised 7,361 feet long, the Beast will end up breaking its own world record when it reopens in May. A proposed memorial tourist park in Maine could be the future site of the world's tallest flagpole. The 2,500-acre project called Flagpole of Freedom Park would be centered around a massive 1,461-foot pillar waving a giant American flag. That would make it a flagpole taller than the Empire State Building. The park would also feature a 9-mile-long memorial wall honoring all of America's veterans, as well as other tourist attractions. The $1 billion project still has to clear a ton of red tape, but is already in the planning phases, with a targeted completion date of July 4th, 2026, just in time for America's 250th birthday. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
And coming up in sports, a touching story of two sisters who are both able to show their talent on the Ohio softball team. And right after the break, is there trouble brewing in the Convocation Center? Another one of Ohio's best basketball players from last season has decided to enter the transfer portal. All that and more next. And now here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your local public television station.
On expedition.
I'm in Mexico with a crack team of cave divers on an expedition where no one has been before.
Check that out.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Zero visibility, and it's really tight.
No way.
It's like a river flowing underneath the water.
My brain is popping. It's so much more than we expected.
This is what adventure is all about.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Benjamin Franklin starts Monday, April 4th on PBS and the PBS app.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of securities is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
When I look at some papers or talk to my collaborators, there's some nice idea, I feel really fascinated. It's like listening to music or seeing an amazing drawing. It's really like art.
Mariam Mirzakhani's pioneering work gave mathematicians powerful new tools for understanding the geometry of surfaces.
Hello again. I'm Ethan Sargent. Ohio basketball fans might want to cover their ears for this one. Mark Sears, the star guard that stepped into Jason Preston's shoes last year, has entered the transfer portal. Sears is now another key piece that Jeff Poles has to think about replacing. Sears had a stellar 2021-22 campaign, averaging 20 points per game to go with 6 rebounds and 4 assists per game. Sears will have no shortage of interest from Power 5 programs. According to CBS Sports college basketball insider John Rothstein, Sears has interest from more than 10 schools. They include Notre Dame, LSU, Auburn, Texas, Florida, and a potential homecoming to Alabama for the Muscle Shoals native. Sears leaves a huge void for Ohio to fill heading into an offseason of uncertainty. He joins Ben Vanderplas, who entered the transfer portal earlier this week, and graduating Jason Carter as losses for the program. There is a lot of pressure on young players to step up, including A.J. Clayton and Ben Roderick, and incoming freshman recruits A.J. Brown and Elmore James IV. The 2021 season offering athletes an extra year of eligibility has worked out for two sisters on the Ohio softball team as they get to play on the same team for the first time in their lives. Reporter Joe Collins has more.
Tori and Emily Walker of the Ohio softball team are sisters.
They both graduated from Jonathan Alder High School. Both were standouts on their high school softball team, but because of their 4-year age difference, they've never got the chance to play together until now.
This is the first time, yeah. When I was a senior, she was in 8th grade, so we just missed it by a year, so this is the first time we've gotten to play together.
After Tori Walker finished her 2021 season at Winthrop, she was looking for a place to play her final year of college. And when the opportunity arose to play with her sister at OU, she realized that Athens was the place to be.
Oh, it was a huge part. Then I knew I would have a friend already automatically. I knew we would get along. Well, we weren't sure actually how we would get along, but it's gone better than I expected. So having her here definitely was the #1 influence on my decision coming here.
With this being their first and possibly only time playing together on a softball team, Tori and Emily want to make sure that it's a memorable time together. So they've made some ways to support each other whenever they're playing, while reminding each other of their bond as sisters.
Well, we have our bracelets that we both wear that say Bobby's for Bobby, since we're the Bobcats, and we had a cat. He died. His name was Bobby. But we have these bracelets that we always wear, and that's
for him.
Yeah.
And like if there's like a situation, she's up to bat, I'll always be like, Bobby's for Bobby, like remember, for him.
Yeah, if we're ever on the bases together, we look at each other and we'll say sister for sister, because that was an old saying that we had back in high school all through that time.
Both of them agree that getting to play alongside one another has been better than they ever expected and is a dream for their family as they get to watch both of them play at the same time. As sisters, Tori and Emily pretty much agree on everything. Well, except their nose rings.
No, she copied me.
No, you're just older and were able to get one before me.
That's true.
She likes piercings.
I do.
So she already had one.
Yeah, she copied me.
No.
For Newswatch, I'm Joe Collins reporting.
Well, the Walkers and the softball team are back out on the diamond tomorrow for a road matchup with Miami. The team is back in action for the first time in a week after dropping their last game March 25th against Bowling Green. This game is the first of a 3-game Battle of the Bricks series. The Bobcats are 8-15 on the season, but have had a challenging non-conference schedule. Ohio looks to rely on Megan McMenemy and Allie England to generate some offense to back up their pitching duo of Mackenzie Cole and Kylie Koffel. First pitch is set for 5 p.m. tomorrow. Switching to the hardwood, the Cleveland Cavaliers dropped another game in the race to avoid the play-in tournament. This one was a 120-112 loss to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic, as he typically does, stole the show. The All-Star had 35 points and 13 assists to lead the Mavs. The Cavs were missing a number of their stars, including Rookie of the Year frontrunner Evan Mobley. Karis LeVert dropped 32 points in his absence, but it wasn't enough. The Cavs slide out of the automatic playoff spots and into 7th place in the Eastern Conference with a loss. That's all for sports. Back over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Ethan. Americans who do not consider themselves male or female will soon have a new option on their passports. Starting next month, citizens can use X as a gender marker. That's according to a statement from Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who says this is an attempt to be, quote, respectful of individuals' privacy while advancing inclusion. The official designation of the X marker is unspecified or another gender identity. This is the first time a federal government agency has offered this sort of marker on an identity document. The X is expected to be available on other forms sometimes in 2023.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Will Price.
And I'm Nick Velan. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Hocking Valley Bank, offering mortgage loans or refinancing on an existing home, making it easy for dreams to become a reality. Hocking Valley Bank, we know loans.